it's a competent whiskey. It's nice, but nothing special. Welcome to Whiskey and SV. I'm your host Sam, and tonight I'll be doing a review of the Macallan Harmony Amber Meadow. Now, if you know anything about the Scotch whiskey industry, you know that Macallan is the luxury premium brand. And that means all of their stuff, pretty much all of their stuff, comes with a luxury premium price tag, meaning it is basically overpriced. They tend to put out a lot of non-age stated whiskeys that don't really state whether it is natural color or non-chill filtered, so they don't really appeal to the enthusiast crowd. Now, personally, I do enjoy a nice Macallan, but I do find that it is overpriced for what it is. I think for about half the price, usually you can have a different experience. Now, the question is this latest release in their Harmony series going to be another one that falls in the same footsteps? So let me tell you a little bit more about the Harmony limited edition series. This is the third release of the Harmony, the third year release, but it's actually like the fifth because each release is two different whiskeys. One is their regular one that comes at 44%, and one is their travel special one, which is usually much harder to get and comes at 40%. So the first release was called Rich Cacao, and the travel special of that was called Fine Cacao. Now, when the Rich Cacao came out, it was really bought up by speculators. I mean, there were people that were like buying walls of it and really taking it off the market, and it drove the prices to crazy amounts. The MSRP on these whiskeys is supposed to be in the order of $180 to $200, and that first whiskey at some point was selling for about $1,000 in on the auction websites. Of course, the price since then has dropped significantly, and it's even in the secondary price right now is around 300 or so. And the fine cacao, which is the travel special and more rare, is in the order of $500 to $600, maybe a little bit more in an auction setting. But that aside, after the first release, the second release was much more available, so it didn't really go to the same heights. The second release was called Intense Arabica, and the travel special equivalent of it was Smooth Arabica. And the third release, pair of releases, I guess I should say, is the Amber Meadow, which comes at 44%, and there is a Green Meadow, which comes at 40%. So that history aside, there is some marketing stuff about how this is supposed to be sustainable cardboard box, blah blah blah. But I really don't care. I just want to know: is this really $200 whiskey? Is it worth paying that much for, and is it worth drinking at that price? So, without further ado, let us pour a sample. By the way, thanks to my good friend Sorab for lending me this bottle. I do have my own bottle, but I didn't want to really open it because I'm not sure this is something that I would actually enjoy drinking. So I just have a couple of bottles for investment purposes, whatever that means, because I don't think I'm ever going to actually sell them. But what I mean by investment in whiskey is mostly, trading it for stuff that I do want to drink later, because I know people are always going to want these types of whiskeys. So let's try this on the palate, on the nose first, sorry. Well, it is a recognizable Macallan whiskey. Those tangerines, apricots, oranges, like kind of burnt stewed oranges are very prevalent on the nose. Yeah, very, very much like that kind of like tangerine orange, kind of cooked orange jam type of feel. Okay, let's try the palate. Yeah, it's very recognizably Macallan. I don't know if there's anything like specifically different about it. The arrival is just like these very jammy cooked fruit kind of notes with some malty notes. Some spices are there. It's actually more spicy than I remember Macallan being. So maybe that's like kind of a unique thing about it. But it has nothing that really stands out to me other than the fact that it's a nice Macallan. So um, If you like Macallan, the Macallan profile, you will probably enjoy this. But the question is it worth $200? Now, to me, it's not. I think this is a whiskey that um, is basically um, the value to me is the fact that it is a limited edition, and probably at some point I can trade it for something that I actually want to drink. It's a competent whiskey, it's nice, but nothing special. Now, my question is, how does it compare to the 12-year? Like, are you getting really a different experience? So, I do have the 2022, or maybe it's the 2023 Macallan here. Let me see if it's 2022, 23. Doesn't matter. Anyways, this is a 12-year sherry oak, meaning it's the best one, which costs $90, which is basically half of that. So the question is this any different? And are you getting something different in the Amber Meadow? This has been open for a while, so it does feel a little bit more muted. But at the same time, I kind of like the sherry on this more than I like on the Amber Meadow. Definitely much more potent. The Amber Meadow is more potent. Given that this bottle was empty like this for the past like few months, it probably makes sense that it would be a little bit flat. But very similar profile, yeah. Okay, so let's try the palate. You know what? I kind of prefer the palate on this even more than that, because um, the jammy notes on this are way more prevalent, and it just feels a bit richer on the palate than the Amber Meadow. I think that would probably make sense as well, because this doesn't even have an age statement. It's just a fancy bottle with a fancy brand, but it doesn't really have the same age. So, and I think a lot of times there's really no substitute for age. Let me go back to this again. There's some metallic notes in this compared to that, which do make it feel like it is a bit younger. The sherry oak, definitely the oak influence, has made it more rounded. Yeah, the fruit notes, the jammy notes, and just the viscosity even though this is 43%, it's only 1% less than this, but it just feels more viscous on the palate. Yeah, so for my money, I think I would definitely go with the 12-year if you like that Macallan profile. Of course, there are much better whiskeys on the market if you don't want to spend $80 on a 12-year base level whiskey. But if you do and you like Macallan, then I would definitely put the 12-year ahead of the Harmony Amber Meadow. So that's my review of this whiskey. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative, and I hope to see you in my next video. Cheers. See you next time.